What is up, guys? How are you all doing? This is Project 939 here, bringing you another Professor Execute gameplay. And today, as promised, I am bringing you something a little bit old school, a little bit out of the ordinary on YouTube these days. That's right, I am playing some Battlefield Bad Company 2. So yeah, going a little bit old school, not quite Space Invaders old school, but old school nonetheless for me at least. And yeah, the last time I made a video like this was on my old channel, which was quite a while back, because I don't use that channel. I haven't used it in about 5 months, I suppose. So anyways, yeah, here we go. It took me a while to get into a decent game. That's the one thing I noticed, like compared to Battlefield 3, it's a lot harder to get some good footage in this game. But anyways, so today you may or may not have seen the part 1 to this video. It was kind of like a part 1. It wasn't like 100% related, but it was related enough, I suppose. And in the first one, I talked about repopulating this game and what kind of needs to be done to do it. And in this commentary, I'm going to be talking about things that I prefer about Battlefield 3, things that I prefer about this game, things that I kind of dislike about both games as well. So it's not going to be a versus video, it's just going to be sharing my thoughts on both sides of the argument for both games. So there's quite a lot to get through, hence the fact that this is one of the longer commentaries I'm going to be doing. It's only 9 minutes, but still, it's pretty long compared to some of the others out there. So anyways, let's kick it off with talking about some Battlefield 3. Let's kick it off with the positives. I'm a positive guy, I like to be positive. Now, things that I like about Battlefield 3, I think I've got to kick it off with the unlockables, because in that game, it would take you a very, very long time to unlock everything. And I'm not talking about like medals and things like that. I'm talking about things that you get for guns, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, you have to get to. It doesn't take that long to unlock all the guns, but to get the attachments for all the guns would take a very long time. And I like the fact that on my old account, I got to like Eagle level 20 and I was still unlocking stuff and it was still keeping me occupied. Whereas with this game, it does get a little bit tedious past level, was it 23 or something like that, where you unlock the G3. And I mean, that's just the last unlockable, before that you've unlocked everything for quite a while apart from the G3. But anyways, moving on, another thing that I prefer about Battlefield 3 is the fluidity of movement. Now what I mean by that is, in this game, it's arguable that this is more realistic, but I think Battlefield 3 really gets it right when it comes to keeping the fluidity good and keeping it within realistic, because the movement animations are very, very realistic, and it's a lot easier to move around, get to cover and things like that. Whereas with this, if you're I don't know, not necessarily caught out in the open, but if you get shot upon and there's not cover within about 5 meters, you're gonna die. And, once again, you could argue that that's realism and the controls feel sluggish for a reason. But, I think Battlefield 3 kind of nailed it when it came to movement. Just my opinion, if you've got other opinions, please leave a comment about it. I am always happy to hear it. Now, other things about Battlefield 3, and this comes up pretty recently, I suppose, is the server browser. Now, it's kind of like a win-lose situation kind of thing with me, because, sometimes you don't know what kind of server you're getting into. You might be doing some rush on Operation Metro with 1,000 tickets. Sometimes you might be doing like a really good lobby, but I think with the servers, it kept things fresh, and you could always get into an open server, not an open server, sorry, but a full up server if you wanted to. And that's the thing that really lets this game down for me at the moment. It is so empty. This game here, which was like something like 8v8, took me about 20 minutes to get into. Before this, I'd left like 5 servers, because I have to get decent gameplay for you, otherwise it'd be boring. But yeah, it's really, really unpopulated, this game now, and that really gets on my nerves when it comes to playing it. And with Battlefield 3, with the server browser, what kind of lobbies you're joining, because there are 12v12 servers in this game, but you never get into them. I think if there was a server browser in this game, it would be a much happier place. Now let's kind of turn to the negatives, because with positives come negatives. You're never going to get a 100% game. So I think I'm going to do I think Bad Company 2 negatives and kind of compare it to the Battlefield 3 ones, vice versa, kind of, I guess, with this one. So the negatives about Bad Company 2, I already kind of mentioned it before. The unlockable system, you get very bored very quickly, but I'm not going to dwell on that, as I've already mentioned that. Now, another thing that I prefer about Battlefield 3 compared to this is the class system. By that I mean, certain classes in this game do seem a bit, not underused, but a bit inferior compared to other classes. Like the medic, for example, you can revive people, you can give out health. In this, I mean, what can an assault really do? He gets a grenade launcher and an assault rifle, and he can give out ammo. That's about it. And that doesn't really help your team a great amount, unless like they want ammo, and that's pretty much it. But I think with Battlefield 3 they kind of nailed it. They got the support class, which gives out the ammo, the assault class, which gives out the med packs and revives people, the engineer, which takes out the vehicles, and the recon, which just does its thing. And I think that really I think that was a real benefit of having Battlefield 3 and the class system with that game. Now, Battlefield 3 negative, I'd have to say, is it seems a little bit buggy. Because, I never get through a game without a bug occurring, something going wrong, like lagging a little bit, like texture pop, things like that. It's understandable with the graphics. Battlefield 3 has great graphics, but I mean, on console especially, on PC I think the game looks fantastic, but on console you can notice, and that's not to say it looks bad on console, but on console you can notice a lot of long-range texture lag, things like that, and it really gets on my nerves. I'd rather have graphics like this game, where it's not so, like, detailed, but it runs very smoothly, rather than having really great graphics but it not running very smoothly at all. And I mean, that's not to say it doesn't run smoothly at all. I think it runs fantastic, but it could run smoother if the graphics weren't so upbeat. But yeah, that's just another point, I suppose. Another negative about Battlefield 3 is it does seem a little bit rushed to me. I think they obviously brought it out to compete with the COD market, and I think the developers are kind of telling themselves that they've done that, but really they didn't really dent the COD market at all. They took a bit away from it compared to this game, but really, they didn't do anything too effective, and I don't think they will for a while now. And like, unless COD keep going the way they are, making like similar games every year, then they're not going to get a huge share of their market for a while. And I think they should have just waited until, like, I don't know, even around now, like April kind of time, to wait until brought it out. If they brought it out and then it'd been a fantastic or more fantastic game, then I think I would have been much more happy. I could have waited for it. This is a kind of a big one for Battlefield 3, I think. Negative, the maps. I hate to say it, but I'm not a real fan of the maps in the game. They do seem a little bit, a few of them seem a little bit close range. And they've got the Close Quarters DLC, which obviously going to be close range, hence the name. And it really, I don't know, I prefer the maps in this game. There are a few small ones like Cold War, things like that, but I really think they were a lot more Battlefield-esque. And I think the ones in Battlefield 3, like Operation Metro, Grand Bazaar, things like that, I love the maps, but I just don't feel like I'm playing a Battlefield game when I'm playing them, if that makes sense. Also, I think the biggest thing for me over both games is, well, for positive on Bad Company 2's behalf and a negative on Battlefield 3's behalf, the destruction. The destruction in this game plays such a big part in the proceedings of the game, whereas in Battlefield 3 it just seems a little bit minimal. And they said before the game came out that it was the most detailed destruction ever, or the most realistic. I really think they over exaggerated that. I mean, it's detailed, the destruction, and it like looks nice, but it really doesn't play much of a role in the game. You've got like destructive environments and things like that, and I think in the Close Quarters DLC they're bringing out a new destruction engine, which is like some like HD destruction, and yeah, it's great, but if it doesn't play a massive role in the game, then I don't really care, to be honest. And that was a thing that drew me to Battlefield in the first place, like the destruction, and I think in this game they nailed it, because it really does affect the game in such great ways. But anyway, that's the end of the video. If you've got any thoughts on this, then please feel free to leave a comment. I'm always happy to hear. We did lose the game, but I think we put up a pretty good rebellion. But anyways, for now, thank you very much for watching. This has been Project 939, and see you later. Please subscribe, but bye for now.